The ash field, the smoke rising. I remember the sound before the silence. The sirens cut through the valley like blades, sharp and endless. Every house stopped breathing. Even the wind seemed to hide behind the gray hills. My name is Lynn Arden, and this morning, the world decided I no longer belonged to it. The ash had been falling for days. Fine, soft, almost beautiful, if you forgot what it really was. The remains of things that once lived. The fields outside our settlement were coated in gray, no green, no sound, just the hum of the power lines that kept us safe. We lived in Outpost 9, the coal district. Our walls were black, our air tasted like burnt iron, and our people never looked up. The Corps told us that looking up wastes energy. Eyes forward, hearts steady. That was the rule. Today, the sirens meant selection day. Everyone between 17 and 19 had to stand in the square, under the white tower, where the Corps' hologram watched from above. The government called it the cleansing. We called it something else. The taking. Lynn, don't go. My sister's voice cracked like thin glass. She was only 13. Her name was Marie. Small, curious, always asking questions the system didn't like. If she were older, they would have erased her already. I have to, I said, tying my hair back. If I don't show up, they'll come for both of us. She gripped my sleeve. But they'll choose you. They always choose someone from Sector 4. It's the rule. I smiled, though it felt like breaking. It's random, I lied. The streets were full of gray uniforms and pale faces. No one spoke. No one ever did during selection. The silence wasn't fear. It was habit. We lined up under the tower, and the hologram flickered to life. A tall figure in white light, its face blurred and perfect. The voice was calm, genderless, and terrifyingly polite. Good morning, citizens of Outpost 9. Today the ash fields open once more. 2 will be chosen to prove loyalty, serve with honor, return in peace, but no one ever returned. The screen displayed a rotating wheel of names, glowing and spinning. A whisper ran through the crowd, like static. Then, click. First name, Mari Arden. The world went silent. I didn't think. I didn't breathe. Before the words fully reached the air, I stepped forward. I volunteer, I screamed. I volunteer for Mari Arden. Gasps rippled across the square. No one ever volunteered here. Not since the purge of 27. The hologram paused. Then its voice softened. Almost curious. Volunteer recorded. Lynn Arden, Sector 4. Accepted. And just like that, my fate was sealed. They took me inside the White Tower, a place none of us had ever entered. The floor was smooth, sterile, humming beneath my boots. 2 soldiers in silver masks guided me to a metal chair. Congratulations, one of them said through his filter. His voice echoed like a machine, pretending to be human. You've been granted the honor of cleansing. The Corps thanks you. I wanted to ask what thank you meant when it came from a voice with no soul. But I stayed silent. I'd learned long ago that words could be dangerous. Through the glass wall, I saw the horizon. Black smoke rising from the ruins of the other outposts. The sky looked sick, burning from within, and somewhere beyond that smoke lay the ash fields, the place where chosen ones disappeared into silence. A woman in a white uniform handed me a thin silver band. Place it on your wrist, she said. It tracks your heart rate and location. Removal results in termination. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Nothing did in this place. Before they sealed the transport door, they allowed one last visit. Mari stood behind the barrier, her hands shaking against the glass. Tears streaked her face, carving clean lines through the soot. Why did you do it? She cried. You always said the system can't be changed. I looked at her, really looked, and realized I didn't believe that anymore. Maybe it couldn't be changed, but maybe it could be broken. I did it, I whispered, because they expect us to stay quiet. The guards pulled me away. As the transport lifted into the smoky sky, I watched Outpost 9 shrink into a patch of gray below. The engines roared, drowning out the silence that had followed me my whole life. They said the ash fields were a place to prove loyalty. But deep inside, I knew what it really was. A place where the world burns the ones who still remember what it means to feel. And, as the smoke swallowed the horizon, I made myself a promise. If the world wants me to disappear, I'll make sure it remembers my name first. The selection. The transport cut through the clouds like a blade through smoke. I sat strapped to the cold metal seat, the hum of the engines vibrating through my bones. There were 12 of us inside, each from a different outpost. 12 faces, 12 lives, chosen to be erased or remembered. No one spoke. Silence had become the only language we all understood. The girl across from me had hair the color of rust, her eyes too sharp to belong to a child. She was from Outpost 3, the Water District. Her name, according to the glowing tag on her collar, was Erin Vale. When our eyes met, she gave a small, crooked smile. "The trick," she whispered, "is to stop caring before they make you." I didn't answer. I didn't trust words in this place. They always came back twisted. Hours later, the transport descended through a wall of artificial mist. Through the small glass window, I saw a vast white complex rising out of the ashes. A circle of towers connected by bridges of light. The core training center, where they prepared us for the cleansing, and watched who would break first. When the doors opened, the heat hit me like a wall. The air smelled of ozone and metal, clean but lifeless, a perfect place for dying beautifully. They herded us into a wide hall. The walls glowed with the same sterile light, pulsing softly like a living thing. Above, the symbol of the core shimmered, a perfect circle split by a single line. Balance, order, purity, lies. A tall woman in a white suit stood on a raised platform. Her hair was the color of ash, her eyes as empty as glass. "Welcome, participants," she said. "You have been selected to serve the core and preserve our species. Your service will bring peace. Your sacrifice, balance." Her tone was calm, too calm, like she'd said the same words 1,000 times before. "From this moment, you will be monitored. Every movement, every thought, every heartbeat. Disobedience means removal. Cooperation means purpose." Behind her, a screen lit up with our faces, one by one. I felt my chest tighten when mine appeared. Lynn Arden, Sector 4. Loyalty level, unknown, unknown. Even the machines couldn't read me. That frightened them. I saw it in her eyes before she quickly looked away. They led us to small steel rooms, cells disguised as quarters. Inside mine, there was a bed, a white uniform, and a mirror embedded in the wall. No door handles, no switches. The light never turned off. When I looked at my reflection, I barely recognized the girl staring back. My hair had been cut short, my skin pale from the fluorescent glare. The silver band on my wrist blinked softly. Heartbeat detected, compliance active. I pressed my fingers against the glass. It was warm. That's when I realized it wasn't a mirror at all. It was a screen, and someone, or something, was watching from the other side. The next morning, the tests began. We were divided into groups and led through a series of assessments: strength, endurance, obedience. But there was a fourth one they didn't name aloud: memory. They injected us with a thin blue serum that blurred the edges of time. Voices whispered inside my head, fragments of memories that didn't belong to me. A woman's laughter, the smell of rain, a name I didn't know. Elias. I gasped and tore the band from my wrist, just for a second. The alarms screamed. The light in the room turned red, and guards rushed in with weapons raised. Before they reached me, I shouted, "Who is Elias? Why is he in my head?" They froze. One of them, the woman from before, stepped forward slowly. "You weren't supposed to remember that." Then she hit the injector against my neck. Darkness swallowed me. When I woke, the light was dimmer, or maybe my eyes had stopped caring. Erin sat beside me, her hand pressed to a bruise on her arm. You screamed in your sleep, she muttered. Said a name. Elias, I turned toward her. You heard it too? She nodded, eyes wide. They showed me a boy. Same name. He said, don't trust the core. A chill crawled up my spine. Maybe the cleansing wasn't just about loyalty. Maybe it was about erasing what we used to be, who we used to love, before the core rewrote the world. That night, while the walls hummed and the cameras blinked, I whispered into the darkness, if you're real, Elias, find me before they turn me into one of them. The room stayed silent, but somewhere deep inside the metal walls, I thought I heard an echo, a faint, human breath. The arena of ashes. The first thing I felt was cold. Not the kind that bites your skin, but the kind that settles inside you and whispers that the sun might never rise again. I opened my eyes to a sky that wasn't a sky at all, just endless gray. A ceiling of smoke that breathed like a living creature. The air was heavy, carrying the smell of burnt stone and metal. I was lying on black soil, soft, almost like dust. When I lifted my hand, it came away covered in fine gray powder. Ash. Everything was ash. The others were scattered across the field. 12 of us reduced to shadows. Each stood slowly, blinking against the glare of the red horizon. The silence was unreal, broken only by the low hum that vibrated through the ground. Somewhere in the distance, a voice echoed. Synthetic, calm, familiar. Welcome to the ash fields. Your time begins now. Then the sound of static, and the world went still again. They had stripped us of everything. No weapons, no food, no water, just the silver bands on our wrists, now glowing faintly our red. Erin stumbled beside me, coughing into her sleeve. Where the hell are we? Not hell, I said. Something worse. Hell remembers you. This place doesn't. She laughed softly. The kind of laugh that's closer to crying. Then she pointed at the horizon. There. Movement, I saw it too. Figures in white armor, standing motionless on the ridge. Not guards, not human. Their heads turned in perfect synchronization. Drones, shaped like people, watching, waiting. The first day was chaos. We walked for hours through the ash plains, the ground cracking beneath our boots. There were ruins buried under the dust. Old signs, melted glass, bones that looked almost fossilized. No birds, no sound, no life. We found a metal tower, half collapsed near what used to be a river. The water was black, reflecting no light. Someone said we should rest there. But rest didn't exist here. The air buzzed with invisible electricity, a vibration that crawled under your skin, like the core was breathing through us. That night, the first one died. His name was Kalen, from Outpost 11. He touched the wrong surface, a small glowing stone near the ruins. It pulsed once, then burned straight through his chest. The others screamed. I didn't, because deep down, I knew this wasn't random. Erin found a mark under his wristband. 3 black lines etched into his skin. We didn't know what they meant then, but I saw the same mark faintly glowing on the stone that killed him. The core wasn't testing survival. It was matching patterns, like we were pieces in some machine, and Kalen's piece no longer fit. We moved again before sunrise. The red light on our wristbands had changed. Now it blinked slower, like a heartbeat. Erin noticed it first. Every time someone dies, the light changes, she whispered. It's tracking them. Or us. I didn't answer. I was too focused on the horizon. The faint silhouette of a structure rising from the smoke. A tower, cracked and leaning, surrounded by dark tendrils of metal reaching into the sky. We headed toward it. Something about it called. By midday, half the group had vanished. Not dead, vanished. No screams, no struggle. Just gone, as if swallowed by the air. When I looked down, the ash beneath my boots seemed to move, slowly shifting like it was alive. I froze, and that's when I heard it. A faint, human voice beneath the ground. Lynn. My blood turned cold. No one here knew my name except Erin. I knelt, brushing the ash away. There, buried beneath the surface. A face, pale and still, eyes open, mouth whispering my name. It was Elias. I staggered back, heart hammering. Erin ran to me, her eyes wide. "What is it?" I pointed, but the ash had already swallowed him again, leaving only gray ripples where he'd been. "I saw someone," I whispered. "A boy. The one from my memory." Erin looked at me for a long time, then said quietly, "I think that's the point. The fields don't test your body, they test your mind. They want to see how long before we forget who we are." As night fell, the world turned red. The ash glowed faintly, as if lit from below. We built a small fire, though there was nothing to burn, just fragments of old wires and plastic. Erin sat beside me, staring at the flame. "Do you think anyone ever wins this?" she asked. I shook my head. "Winning isn't the goal. It's the lie." She turned to me. "Then what's the truth?" I looked at the smoke, curling upward, vanishing into the endless gray. "The truth," I said softly, "is that maybe we're already dead. And this is the world trying to forget us." That night, I dreamed again. The sky was clear, blue like in the old pictures. Elias stood on a hill of green, holding something. A piece of glass with the Corps symbol etched into it. "Find the heart," he said. "It's not in the towers. It's under them." When I woke, my wristband was glowing white instead of red, and on the horizon, the ash was shifting, opening like a wound, revealing the faint outline of a buried city below. The others were still asleep. I stood, heart pounding, and whispered into the endless smoke, "I'm coming, Elias." Then I stepped toward the light. The pact. The ash was thicker that morning. It fell like silent rain, coating our hair, our skin, our thoughts. The horizon had vanished. The world had no edges anymore. Erin walked ahead of me, her boots sinking into the dust. We hadn't spoken since the night I saw the city beneath the ash. Every sound here carried too far. Even a whisper felt like a scream, but the silence was heavier than fear. It was the kind that made you start hearing your own heartbeat and wonder if it really belonged to you. By midday, we reached the edge of a crater. It stretched endlessly, swallowing what was left of the ground. At its center stood a metallic spire, thin, jagged, pulsing faintly with white light. I felt something pull at me, like the light itself was calling my name. Erin touched my arm. "Don't go closer." Her voice trembled, but I couldn't stop. The hum grew louder the nearer I got, until the air itself vibrated. On the surface of the spire, words shimmered briefly, then vanished. "Heart of core. Access restricted." I froze. Those were the same words Elias had whispered in my dream. Erin's face had gone pale. "You saw it too, didn't you?" she whispered. "The city. The message." I nodded slowly. "That means it's real." She hesitated, then said, "If we want to survive this, we can't do it alone. We make a pact, you and me. We reach that heart. We end whatever this is." I looked at her, this stranger I'd known for only days, and realized she was all I had left that still felt human. "A pact, then," I said. "No secrets, no lies. We survived together." We pressed our palms together, the silver bands on our wrists pulsing in sync, red and white merging into a single flash. For a second, the entire ground beneath us trembled, and somewhere in the distance, the drones turned their heads toward us, like something had noticed. That night, we found shelter inside the remains of an old structure, a station of some kind, half buried in ash. There were faded letters on the wall. Transmission Hub 07. The lights inside flickered weakly, running on ghost power. We scavenged what we could: pieces of dried rations, cracked glass screens, dead circuits. But one screen flickered alive when I touched it. Core status, partial failure. Subjects, online, 5. Human integrity, 68%. Erin leaned closer. Human integrity. What the hell does that mean? Before I could answer, the screen glitched, and for a fraction of a second, my reflection appeared. But it wasn't me. My face flickered. like static. Behind the distortion, something else moved. Another version of me, smiling faintly. Then, the screen went black. I stumbled back. Aaron stared at me, eyes wide. "Lynn, your band. It's turning blue." I looked down. The light had changed. No longer white, no longer red. A soft, pulsing blue. Before I could process it, a metallic voice filled the room. "Anomaly detected. Subject 04. Lynn Arden. Pattern deviation confirmed." The drones outside screamed to life. Their lights cut through the fog, converging on our location. "Run!" Aaron shouted. We bolted into the open, the air slicing our throats with dust. Beams of light chased us, scanning the ground like predators. We dove into the ruins of a collapsed tunnel. The air was stale, full of echoes and whispers. Far above, the drones hovered, searching. Aaron leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. "Why are they after you?" I pressed my hand over the glowing band. "I don't know, but maybe I'm not supposed to exist anymore." She looked at me, really looked, and something like recognition flickered in her eyes. "Lynn," she said slowly, "what if you've been here before?" Her words hung in the air, like a wound that wouldn't close. Before I could answer, a low mechanical sound rumbled through the tunnel, and a door slid open in the darkness ahead. Cold blue light spilled out. Inside was a chamber lined with glass pods, and in one of them, I saw myself, my own face, my own body, sleeping, frozen. Aaron stepped back, whispering, "Oh my God." The figure inside the pod twitched, eyes fluttering open. And when they did, I saw it clearly. She was me, but without the ash, without the scars, without the fear. "Hello, Lynn," the other me said through the intercom. "You shouldn't be awake yet." The chamber lights flared, and alarms screamed across the valley. Aaron grabbed my arm, pulling me away as glass shattered behind us. We ran through the tunnel until our lungs burned. When we finally stopped, the ash outside was glowing, like the world itself was pulsing with anger. Aaron turned to me, voice shaking. "Tell me the truth. What are you?" I looked at my trembling hands, the blue light reflecting in my eyes. "I don't know," I whispered, "but maybe I'm not the one who made the pact." The truth beneath the world had stopped making sense. Or maybe it never did, and I was only now beginning to see the cracks. For hours, Aaron and I stayed hidden beneath the ruins, the cold walls whispering with every distant explosion above. Outside, the drones searched endlessly, their blue eyes slicing the fog. Inside, my heartbeat echoed louder than the machines. The image of her, the girl in the glass pod, wouldn't leave my head. She wasn't just like me, she was me. By dawn, the ground trembled again. The ash fell heavier, like the world was weeping its own dust. Aaron paced in silence. Then she stopped and said, "You need to see something." She led me through a passage I hadn't noticed before, behind a broken metal door sealed with a sign, "Authorized personnel only. Archive 01. Inside, the air was cold, metallic, humming faintly. A long corridor lined with broken glass panels and half-dead screens. On the walls, faint letters blinked to life as we passed. Project Arden, Generation 7. Status, active. My stomach dropped. Arden, my last name. Aaron's voice was barely a whisper. This wasn't a city, Lynn. It was a laboratory. The corridor opened into a massive chamber, filled with rows of pods. Hundreds, maybe thousands, each one containing a motionless figure, their faces barely visible through the frost. Men, women, children, all wearing the same silver bands, each labeled with a name and a version number. I moved closer to one. Lynn Arden, 06. I felt the air leave my lungs. That meant I was 7. My hand shook as I wiped the frost from the glass. The other Lynn, my previous self, looked peaceful, unaware, like she was still waiting for the world to begin. Aaron stood beside me, her eyes wet. They weren't testing survival. They were testing memory. Memory? I repeated. She nodded slowly. They erase, copy, and upload the minds of chosen candidates into new bodies, to see if trauma, fear, and empathy could survive replication. The words struck like knives. Why would they do that? Because they're trying to rebuild humanity, she said. After they destroyed it, a voice echoed suddenly through the chamber. Calm, emotionless. Subject 07, consciousness detected outside containment. Return to your pod immediately. The lights flickered to red. The pods began to hum. Somewhere, machinery stirred. A heartbeat of steel. Aaron pulled me back. We need to go. But I couldn't move. The voice, it wasn't just a recording. It knew me. It spoke inside my mind. You were never meant to wake up, it said. The real Lynn Arden died 2 years ago. You are a continuity. A mirror, built from her fear. I screamed, but no sound came out. The truth tore through my chest like glass. The floor split open beneath us. We fell into a lower level, a maze of cables, dripping pipes, and holograms flickering with faces of the past. There, I saw flashes. Memories not my own. A burning city. People cheering as fire fell from the sky. A little girl clutching a coin of silver light. My coin. And a voice saying, "Pain must be recycled. It's how we remember we were human." Aaron shook me. "Lynn, focus." The holograms flickered again, and this time, one of them showed Aaron, standing with scientists, watching pods, watching me. I turned to her, my pulse hammering. "What is this?" Her face went pale. I was part of it. Years ago. You lied to me. I didn't know you'd remember. They wiped us all. I swear." The walls screamed. Alarms splitting the silence. Above us, glass shattered as drones poured into the chamber like a metallic swarm. Aaron grabbed my arm. "We can still end it. The core. If we reach it, we can shut everything down." The word core triggered something deep inside me. A pulse of blue light from my wrist. The metal floor lit up with lines of energy, connecting to the pods like veins. "Core, access initiated," the voice thundered. Subject 07, control, override, granted. The drones froze in midair, their lights flickering. Aaron's eyes widened. "You're controlling them." I felt the energy surge through me. Cold, vast, endless. The entire facility vibrated, as if the world was breathing through me. "Lynn Arden 07, the voice said softly now. "You are the last human algorithm. Decide, continue the cycle, or end it." Aaron grabbed my hand. "Don't listen to it. You can choose for yourself." For the first time, I understood what the ash fields really were. Not a prison, not a city, a simulation, a cycle of suffering reset endlessly to preserve what was left of humanity's emotions, to keep pain alive. And I was its anchor. If I ended it, everyone here, all versions, all lives, would vanish. But if I didn't, the loop would never stop. Aaron whispered, "Lynn, whatever happens, do it as yourself." I took a breath, closed my eyes, felt the blue light pulsing in my veins, then pressed my hand to the control panel. Termination. Sequence initiated. The ground split open, light flooding every corner. The pods began to dissolve, one by one, into dust and memory. Aaron smiled through tears. "It's beautiful." I reached for her, but my hand was fading. The world turned white, soft, weightless. And as the light swallowed everything, I heard the voice, one last time. Humanity ends. Not when it dies, but when it forgets why it lived. The ash stopped falling. The silence felt clean. Somewhere, a child laughed. Faint, far away. Maybe that was the sound of the real world waking up. The Rebirth protocol light. That's all there was. No sound, no form. Just light, endless, breathing, alive. I thought I had died, but the light moved, like it was watching me. A faint pulse echoed in the distance. Not a machine, not a heart. Something older. And then, slowly, voices began to form within the brightness. Thousands of them, whispering, crying, laughing. The voices of everyone who'd ever lived in the ash fields. They weren't gone. They were inside the light. The protocol hadn't erased them. It had freed them. Cycle complete, said the voice of the core, initiating rebirth sequence. The whiteness cracked open, and a flood of color rushed through, like someone had opened the sky itself. Mountains of glass turned to rivers. Ash dissolved into soil, and I felt my feet touch real ground for the first time. Grass, soft, trembling, green. I fell to my knees, gasping. The air smelled like rain, not dust. For a long moment, I just stared at the horizon. No fog, no drones, no towers, just a sky the color of forgiveness. Then I heard a familiar voice behind me. "You made it." I turned. Erin was standing there, alive, smiling. Her eyes reflected the sunrise, like twin shards of hope. "Where are we?" I whispered. She knelt beside me, running her fingers through the new soil. Somewhere between what was and what could be. Her words felt like a prayer. In the distance, I could see figures, silhouettes walking through the light. Men, women, children. All those who had vanished. They weren't perfect. Some looked broken, others transparent. Like memories rebuilding themselves into bodies. I took a step toward them, but the blue light around my wrist pulsed again. It wasn't fading. It was spreading. My skin shimmered, pixel by pixel, like I was dissolving into the very air. Erin's smile trembled. "Lynn, it's the protocol. It's taking you back. Rebirth requires a seed." The core's voice whispered. Not cruel now, almost gentle. "You were the seed." I understood. I hadn't survived instead of the world. I had survived for it. My consciousness had become the code that restored reality. Erin reached for my hand. "Will I see you again?" I smiled, though my face was already turning to light. "You already do. Every time you remember who you are." The wind rose, carrying fragments of the old world into the new. Ash turning into petals, smoke becoming clouds, and in the center of it all, a beam of light shot into the sky, marking the birth of something beyond flesh and machine. Protocol completed. Human system restored. The world breathed again. Years passed, or seconds. Time no longer mattered. Across a new horizon, children played on the same fields that once were gray. They told stories of the girl who burned the world to make it bloom again. They called her the last human algorithm. But in whispers, they still used her real name, Lynn. Far away, beneath the roots of the new city, a faint hum still echoed. A buried signal, pulsing once every few seconds, like a heartbeat under the earth. Reboot possibility, 1%, awaiting human emotion input. And somewhere, in a place no machine could reach, a voice whispered softly through the code. "Don't let them forget why they lived." A tribute of deep gratitude and admiration to the brilliant novelist and artist Ibrahim. A mind that sails between the vast seas of reality and imagination, drawing from their depths ideas woven with human and philosophical essence. His works pulse with romance, breathe the spirit of adventure, and shimmer with echoes of memory intertwined with the roots of history. He is truly an Arab legend, a genius of thought who has long delighted us with his astonishing style. A storyteller whose words blend wonder with awareness, beauty with meaning. A grand salute to the novelist Ibrahim, and an even greater salute to Egypt, the mother of civilizations, which continues to give birth to brilliant minds that illuminate both Arab and global consciousness.